On today's wrestling news, Christopher Daniels retires.
A star returns to WWE at an NXT house show.
WWE bringing premium live events back to France.
And we've got a backstage update on when SmackDown may return to being 2 hours long, thank God.
Are you ready? Are you ready for the news time? My name is Phil Chambers. I'm joined by Gareth Morgan to talk all things wrestling news. But first up, Christopher Daniels. Now, I know I've already said it in the title bit, but this does have a little bit of spoilers for Collision, so if you don't want those spoilers, skip to the next story right now. Do it. Good. Because Christopher Daniels is retiring from professional wrestling in ring, at least. Now, he obviously had that the Texas Death Match against Hangman Page that is on Collision tonight, but was recorded earlier in the week, and it was a violent and bloody Texas Death Match by all accounts, and it airs tonight, like I said, but I don't think anyone expected Christopher Daniels to win that match, because obviously it's against Hangman Page, and Christopher Daniels is just coming sort of back into ring for a long time. But I also don't think anyone was expecting it to be his last match ever, and according to Fightful Select and Sean Ross Sapp, this will serve as Christopher Daniels' last match ever, and he is retired from in-ring competition. Now, he has apparently, according to Sean Ross Sapp and Fightful Select, been looking to have his last match for quite some time now. And this is obviously what he landed on, but it's strange. It kind of begs the question as to why they didn't advertise it as that, as like a loser leaves town or a retirement match or something. You probably could have popped a bit of a rating from it, a little bit more so, or maybe even led to a pay-per-view and given him sort of a big moment on a pay-per-view or something like that. But maybe this is also just Christopher Daniels wanting to kind of go out a little bit quietly, because he's obviously been cutting back on his in-ring competition for quite some time now. So maybe that was just the way he wanted to go out. Who the hell knows, but it is an interesting question. But he has had a hell of a career, really. He has basically wrestled for every big promotion you could name and has been going for a really long time. But this is obviously still not the end of his wrestling career in general. He does a lot backstage in AEW, and he has a hell of a lot to offer in terms of the sort of knowledge and experience that guy has. So he's still going to be in and around the business, but this will be his last in-ring match ever.
Yeah, it's a very understated in a way end to such an incredible career. I was first introduced to Christopher Daniels when he was in TNA. It was one of them when I was just a kid. I was flicking through the channels. I was like, who is this guy? Wow, this is cool. And ever since, he's been a mainstay in the scene, popping up all over the place, independents, every single promotion, like you said. And for me, until you said it, because I was thinking the same, I was like, well, why would you not go out on a pay-per-view? Why would you not have this big kind of salute? AEW been really great when it comes to being respectful with these kind of retirements. Obviously Sting, stuff like that. But now you think of Christopher Daniels as a person, he seems like the kind of guy that wouldn't necessarily want to take a spot from someone. I know obviously he's on the TV show, it's time on a TV show, but it's not the same as being on a pay-per-view. And that very much could have been could have had a part to play in this. I did find it curious that he had just kind of been dropped back into a storyline and been so prominent on television recently. I was like, this feels a bit odd for just a sudden match, not necessarily out of nowhere, but just this sudden big feud. I was like, oh, where's this come from? Now it kind of makes sense. If that is the idea that they were like, this is going to be your last hurrah, they have pushed it. They've pushed it. There's been some great heated back and forth, backstage stuff, they had the war of words things that I've seen on Collision, the little things all over the place. I'm excited for it. And hearing all the rumblings coming out of these tapings that it is a bloody war, and it's going to be hopefully a great send off for him. I'm really happy for him. I think he deserves that. Obviously, he deserves the world, and he's going out. I think the big thing is he's going out on his own terms. I think that's something that not a lot of wrestlers get that. The injuries happen, whatever it is, and you're just forced to call it a day. And he has just gone, no, I want to go out here, I want to have a great match, and that'll be it. And then I'll moonsault off onto the sunset.
I mean, there's always different schools of last match ever in wrestling. Obviously, some are massive pomp and circumstance, but then you look to Stone Cold, one of the greatest of all times, and he just kind of had his WrestleMania match. It was still a big match against The Rock and everything, but then he was just nah, that's it.
And you're like, oh. It's like, oh, are you gone? Oh, great. And then You never know.
So different strokes for different folks.
That's it. 15, 20 years time, he'll come back and have a big main event. Why not? Just like Stone Cold. Yeah. But speaking of people coming back, like returns, all the rest of it, there you go. I'm good at this. Lince Dorado has returned to WWE out of nowhere. So he made a surprise appearance at an NXT house show in Citrus Springs, Florida, and that was on Friday, so that was yesterday. And he then took to social media to write about it, and he said, "The cat's out of the bag. Time to get #LuchaLit." Right. Don't know what that means. I'm old. Yeah, Lucha
Good
Lit.
Lucha
So
things.
good Lucha star, bring him back. Yeah. Proud of the Lucha things. There was like an image, I think somebody put on social media of him doing, I think it was like a shooting star press off the top rope, it looks like. I'm not sure who was landing on there. If you were at the show, let me know. I don't think it's confirmed, or I've just not done my job very well. Either or. He was the premier champion, Demand Lucha. But then they announced that he'd stepped down as that champion, seemingly so he could come to WWE and do this. So they announced that recently. Obviously, his first run with WWE started in 2016. He was part of that whole cruiserweight relaunch thing. Remember that? He was part of that. And then he obviously ended up being a part of the Lucha House Party with Kalisto and Gran Metalik. And then eventually he was released from WWE in October 2021, I believe it was. So yeah, since then he's competed in MLW, he's been like wrestling at Impact Wrestling, and then later on in 2023 he actually said that he'd been coaching at the Performance Center. So that's something I did not know until I looked into this. So he has been in touch, seemingly on good terms with WWE, and then they must have just gone, come back for a little bit. Whether this is something that leads to him popping up in NXT, main roster, whatever it is, or whether it is just like him popping up on house shows just to have a bit of fun, and he's on good terms with WWE, we don't know just yet. But I've always enjoyed Lince Dorado. I don't feel like he's ever been given the kind of spotlight to really take the world by storm, but whenever he's been in the ring, it's been, like you say, it's been good lucha stuff. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, like WWE have been kind of going heavy on luchas at the minute, or at least for the last sort of 5 years or so. Since the Cruiserweight Classic, probably, actually. But obviously to varying degrees of success and to varying degrees of like sustained push and like sustained storylines and things like that. But I mean, it's great to have him sort of back in the fold. It's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. Potentially, like if he is just doing a performance center kind of thing, it'd be an amazing link towards bringing sort of younger like Mexican luchador kind of people into the company, and having someone there to kind of guide them through it would be super useful for people like that. So yeah, it's just exciting times. I like it. I like this. Good stuff. But speaking of good stuff, WWE is heading back to France for another premium live event. Nick Khan was talking at an event in Las Vegas and kind of let the cat out of the bag, revealing that they will have another PLE in France. Not sure which pay-per-view it will be. It will be this year, apparently. Obviously, Backlash was in Lyon last year, so I'm assuming it won't be Backlash and that it won't be in Lyon. You would imagine they would move to somewhere else. But we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, this is just continuing WWE's run of having sort of traveling premium live events all over the world, and they're going great for getting a massive gate at the shows, and the crowds are always super hot. So I am all for it in terms of a viewing experience, because they're always really good fun.
Yeah, exactly. I could not be more excited about this. I give them a big one because I think they earned it after Backlash. They were incredible. Crowd of the year for me, and I was a part of All In last year, which I thought was a really fun crowd. But to watch as a spectator, that was my crowd of the year. I thought I was just in. They were like an extra body in all the matches. They were great. So I give them a Money in the Bank, a Survivor Series. Just why not? Why not? Like I think they've very much earned it. So I can't wait to see exactly what pay-per-view is announced to be in France, exactly which one it is. But speaking of shows just in WWE, obviously, like a weekly show we've got is SmackDown. It's one of the biggest, longest running shows in WWE. It's been 2 hours for years and years and years and years and years, forever, and then suddenly it's gone to 3 hours, and I don't like it anymore. I don't like it. I'm sorry. I know. Man who talks about wrestling shouts at having to watch more wrestling, but I don't think it's enhancing the show at all for me. It just feels very fat and just feels like it's been stretched out because, surprise, surprise, it's kind of what's happened. But obviously this is like since the beginning of 2025 that this has happened. And then shortly after it went to 3 hours, Triple H said that it will be returning to 2 hours, like at some point. Do not panic. This is not forever. And we've had a couple of people mention and report on when that's going to happen. So Brandon Thurston originally, I don't know if it was like a week or so ago, had said that it wasn't really specified by Triple H at that point, but he'd been informed that SmackDown was planned to return to a 2-hour format beginning in June, and then he said that WrestleVotes actually had that first several months ago, so then he tipped his hat to WrestleVote, so it's been a bit of a change this. But then recently, Dave Meltzer has also said in the Wrestling Observer newsletter when SmackDown is obviously expected to return back to being 2 hours, and I'll just read off the quote. So he also mentioned a bit of stuff about commercial breaks when it comes to the difference between Netflix and Peacock right now, because that's obviously a big thing. So here's what Dave said. He said, for SmackDown, there is not a set date regarding the move back to 2 hours, although May or June is the current time frame, so that's a bit of a difference there. It could even be May. I hope it's May. Just past Mania, with the idea they have more stuff to get across through Mania, so they want to have it that extra hour just so they can cram more stuff in, more stars. That makes a bit more sense as we're getting on the road to WrestleMania.
The idea is more money.
Yeah, I think they're trying to disguise that. Who we kidding? Who we kidding here, right? So in the US on Netflix, if you started the live show late, you actually got it commercial free at least this week until you caught up to the live feed. And if you watched on a longer delay where you didn't catch up to the live feed, it was commercial free. So there you go.
There's a little trick. Start half an hour later and you'll get it commercial free.
That's pretty much it. Or just do what we do and obviously watch it the day after, so you just skip it. Same with the PLEs. I can't remember the last time I stayed up to watch something that wasn't WrestleMania. I just wait the next day, skip all the way through those adverts. On Peacock, though, not only do they add commercials for the replays that aren't there live, but you can't fast forward through them.
Good.
So, yeah, that's not fun if you're on Peacock. That sucks for you, I guess.
Sorry, America.
Yeah, sorry about that. In terms of show times, all that other stuff, there has been talk as well about when it comes to Raw, because obviously we're on Netflix, it's a bit more flexible, all that stuff. It's been said that Triple H apparently thinks that 2.5 hours is the sweet spot. That's the word I've seen flying around. I think that was in the Observer again that was reported. So yeah, I'm happy with that. If we kind of hit that 2.5 hour sweet spot just in general, week to week programming, I'd be a lot happier with that. I don't like the idea of 2-3 hour shows of Raw and SmackDown every week. Even coming into WrestleMania when we're gonna have all the stars, it's just a lot of content to retain in your brain just for anyone.
Yeah, there is a lot of wrestling at the minute. I mean, the 3 hour SmackDown thing's a little bit odd because they had started kind of nailing the 3 hour Raw. It took them a really, really, really long time to get there. But over the last couple of years, they've started to really get it and sort of make it sort of have peaks and troughs and be an entertaining show, getting that format right. And you'd think that would quite easily move over to a SmackDown, but then the last few that we've seen have just felt a little bit bloated, there isn't enough extra stuff to warrant the extra hour. And it's just been, just a bit slow paced, I guess, maybe is the word.
I think the roster size obviously comes into play as well, because I always felt like Raw had a slightly bigger one, obviously, to account for that extra hour. Whereas SmackDown, it feels like they've kept the same roster and just gone, just do more, just do more. And it's
but I mean,
it's not quite working.
The run up to Mania is obviously the busiest time for wrestling. You've got 2 nights of Mania to sell, so you've got a lot of matches to sell. But you've still got to get past the Royal Rumble and past the Elimination Chamber, and it's Mania's a little bit later this year, so it's going to take a while to get there. But I mean, I'm sure they'll figure out the format for the 3 hour SmackDown. But yeah, I personally prefer the 2 hour shows just because it is just a lot of wrestling. And then I think it also makes, because you've got the 2 hour TV shows, I think that makes the premium live events a bit more special because they are a little bit extended and they feel a bit more like a premium product, if that makes sense.
There's more urgency to the weekly product, I think, when you've got it at 2 hours. You don't feel like you're just treading water. Everything's go, get in. It's just, it makes for a more compelling watch week to week, whereas those pay-per-views, in general, you are kind of sat there relaxing a bit more, okay, here we go, big special event. It's not something that you want to speed through, if that makes sense.
Yeah. But do you agree? Do you disagree? Let us know down in the comments below, and follow us on the old social medias, all of them, the medias, at From My Chambers, and this guy over here.
Follow me on the medias on X at gmorgan04, on Instagram at Gareth Morgram, and then I've also got my fitness account within that, which is at fitness.focus.gm for all your personal training needs, inspirational quotes, workout videos, or just my bald head sweating. Yeah.
Lovely. Go follow that. And have yourselves a bloody good day.
Bye-bye.